So we'll just wait a few minutes and let people jump on. Yeah, so you're going to talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I will ask you so many questions.
Well, feel free.
You've been away, haven't you? You've been on a break, holiday.
Yes, we've had me and Mrs. It's a bit arduous for my other half, yeah, because I'm so embroiled with many things, people's problems, people's how do I get out of this, how do I do that, how do I do other, which is plain and simple when you know. When you know.
Well, before we start, I just want to put a legal disclaimer out there. And no way whatsoever is this giving anyone legal advice. We're not here as trained lawyers. Obviously, you've got law. You are, but we're not here to give legal advice. And if anyone wants to find out more, they need to do their own research and maybe contact you directly.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Just for the purpose of Facebook, so I don't get any bans. This is not here to intend to give anyone legal advice. So please do not hold me liable. Or accountable. Thank you. So, Ian, how many are you? So you are actually a trained lawyer, are you?
No, what I am is in the legal world, what constitutes an expert, yeah, is intimate knowledge and acquaintance with the subject matter in question.
Right.
So that qualifies me after 24 years.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Except the big difference is I can't be bought.
No, exactly, because
I cannot be bought.
Your intimate knowledge knows that the system needs
Benches and I'm above no.
Absolutely.
So in the legal world, that qualifies me to stand in any court as an expert.
But the problem is that the courts won't allow anyone to be represented unless you are, your name is on the bar.
Now that's where you're a little bit wrong.
I'd love to be wrong. Please keep telling me I'm wrong, because if I've been wrong, I'm learning.
You see, what we've got to understand is the chronology.
Right.
Now, that chronology of understanding going back to 1688. Yeah, when we understand that, and now here's the key word: superior statutes.
Right. I hope everyone's got their pens and paper ready.
Well, they can do what they want. I don't need pens and paper. I've got a brain.
I know you don't, but everyone listening might need.
That's fine.
Superior statutes.
Yeah. So superior statutes. What are they? Well, we'll start with Coronation Oath, that's 1688.
Right.
The Bill of Rights, 1689.
Yep.
The Act of Settlement, 1700.
Yep.
And the Treason Act, 1795.
Yep.
I'm sorry for batting that off all in one go.
I'm learning to take shorthand.
Well, I used to be in forces, and I were like a clerk typist at one point. However, let's move on. So when you've got to understand the express words. In one of them, namely Bill of Rights, they stand for all time.
Right, Bill of Rights stands for all time.
Yes. And every monarch will abide by that. It does say every future monarch.
Yeah, what do you mean by stands for all time? Guys, please share this live so we can get the information out there and reach people everywhere. So please hit share if you can. What do you mean by all time? Stands for all time.
Perpetuity. Yeah, have you got that? Do you understand the word Right.
I told you, I'm going to ask you questions like a 5-year-old so that everybody can understand.
It's fine. So it means for all time, as long as there is a standing monarch.
All right, yeah.
Right. Every other monarch from 1688 has to abide by the Bill of Rights.
Oh, I see. Right. So as long as there is a standing monarch, i.e. the Queen,
You're incorrect there.
Is the Queen not the monarch?
No.
Okay, who is?
Right. There isn't one.
Well, now there isn't one, but there was.
Right. Well, here's the thing. This is why I said Treason Act 1795.
Thank you, Jackie. Share, please. Yep.
Yeah. Treason Act 1795. To depose the monarch is treason.
Yep.
Yeah, it constitutes treason. Now, this happened in 1973. Yeah, with Heath. Now, Thatcher, between the 70 and 74 government, yeah, was in full knowledge of it. But Heath, in his esteemed corruption, yeah, and I will use that, I won't use it loosely, corruption, and I do mean corruption, decided to bury the advice given to him, and he was plainly told, you are committing treason. That lays, are you ready for this? You may want to write this down. FCO.
Yeah.
30.
30.
/.
Yep.
1048.
I've got it on my laptop. So explain FCO. So this was explain why FCO 30/1048 was withheld from the British public for 30 years.
30 years because Heath was committing treason.
So this is actually, and it's actually quite shocking. This is a petition that I came across after you gave me that number. And it says in 1971, an FCO, what does FCO stand for?
Foreign Commonwealth Office.
Right. Memorandum known as FCO 30/1048 was drafted. This document details how the UK would surrender sovereignty if it were to join the EEC or EU. However, this document was classified as confidential and not released into the public domain until 2002. We have this petition has been closed. The surrender of sovereign powers as a consequence of signing the Treaty of Rome, Maastricht and Lisbon is in breach of the British Constitution as detailed in the Bill of Rights 1688. The bill has never been repealed and as such was and is still in force. The contents of the FCO 30/1048 and the effect to UK sovereignty were not made available to the British public during the 1975 referendum. And this was a petition which only got signatures of 1,765 people. So it tells me it was closed on the 29th of January 2017. It tells me that they're, first of all, petitioning the government is just begging, but it tells me that a lot of people are not aware of this.
Well, the impact of that is that even though Heath is allegedly deceased, as is Margaret Thatcher, as is Francis Pym, William Whitelaw, a certain Lord, and 3 others, they existed in the 1970-74 government. Yeah?
Right.
Thatcher, then they had the referendum. Yeah? But they had a referendum just to enter the EEC, which is European Economic Community, which is just a marketplace. He then undertook it on himself, on his own back, to go for full membership. Now, that full membership, when you read what's called the Werner Report, which is 1968, that their intent was to take away full sovereignty of this country, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, i.e. Britain.
So really their full intent, knowledge and everything was there.
Yeah, it was all there, but he buried it.
1968.
Right. Effect, Edward Heath and Margaret Thatcher buried the crime that they were committing. Treason, high treason.
And this report and this evidence, we can get hold of it, can we?
I've already got it.
You need protection.
I do. I've been told this afternoon by a counsellor there's a target on my back.
You need protection.
I don't need protection.
Wow. Right. So you've actually got the document that proves, obviously, that they buried, that it was all fraudulent.
FCO 30/1048, yes.
So your superior statutes are the Coronation of Bill of Rights, Acts of Settlements and Treason Act, and no one can go against these superior statutes.
Correct.
But
Correct.
Heath and Thatcher did.
Yes.
So they went against the British monarch, the British Constitution, which is a big sovereignty. Britain's got sovereignty.
What you can understand is what I just quoted, them 4 acts, are constitutional law.
Right, yep.
And they supersede any act or statute created by way of what has happened since 1973. It voids them.
So any acts and statutes and legislation that has been created after 1973, is that the right? Is treason, is null
Yes.
and void.
Yes, or aiding and abetting as a secondary offender.
The problem we've got is that people don't know this, and so they've managed to infiltrate the system so slowly that we've.
What their biggest advantage for them is that you've got a young multitude of people that think the current all acts and statutes from 1973 onwards is law. It's be all end all. It is not. Now I can tell you now that once a party in a trusted position breaks the law, yeah, once they've broken the law, they lose all authority, jurisdiction, and jurisdiction. So anything they create after the point of breaking the law is void.
And so really everything created after, and like I said, I'm talking for the purpose of this, like I'm a 5-year-old asking questions because I'm learning, and making mistakes will help me learn even more. But anything that's been created, especially was it that, when everything became sold off for profit.
Well, this is where the relevance of 1973, what actually did happen? Well, the Queen, the monarch of the day, was deposed. Yet you still saw her on TV.
So that was in 1973.
On the 1st of January.
Deposed.
Deposed. Treason committed under 1795 Treason Act.
Right.
So, when they deposed her, they gave her another title. The title was the head of state.
Right.
So when you understand in simple grammar, what does the head of state mean? Now, a professor from, I believe, Oxford gave a definition of a state. And a state is a corporation.
She's the head of the corporation. Yeah.
Bang on. So, when we understand the transfer of title, this is where it's all slowly crept in. So, your statutory officers, like in the Local Government Act 1972 and 1992, are actually aiding and abetting as secondary offenders the continuing deposing of the monarch. So, every, like council tax, whatever, every police officer, I'll go into affirmations later, if it's okay.
Yeah, please do. Yes, of course, please do.
Because there's a relevance and a big one. So when we understand the change of title,
yep,
we understand the change of title and what those words mean. We aren't taught them in basic school.
No, we're not. No,
and this is your, I mean, I won't go into religion. It's nothing to do with religion. It's about the matrix. It's keeping us dumbed down, and you all give like to a government. Well, let me tell you now, from 1973, there was what's known as a colour of law only.
Colour of law,
without legal right. because they stepped outside the Constitution and created the corporate and engaged with a foreign federal state known as the EU, intent on destroying our sovereignty.
If I'm right, they wanted to make the UK a province, if I'm right.
Well, here's where we go again. The UK is the corporation.
Yeah. So
again, understand your wording. Yeah, the UK is a corporation, which she is the head of. Yeah. I just call her Elizabeth Saxe-Coburg.
Saxe what?
Saxe-Coburg.
Saxe-Coburg, is that her real name?
S-A-X-E.
Yeah.
Coburg, C-O-B-U-R-G.
Right, I see, yeah.
Which is German.
It is, isn't it? That's what she is, she's German, yeah.
There you go. So she changed her name, or the title, to Windsor, which was much more acceptable to the Brits, if you like. Yeah. Trickery again.
Yeah, yeah.
But regardless, she swore an oath in 1952-53 to govern us by the laws of God and the gospel.
Yes.
Right. Now, when you look at that document, there's a lot of criminal deception involved. Because when you know about contract law, it's signed at the top. Yeah. Because it's signed at the top, anything after it, she's not admitting to. So the trickery was going on in 1952.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So you must understand about contract law. I mean, have you ever bought an house? Has anybody ever bought an house? You read the contract, you read it all, and you sign it at the bottom. She signed it at the top. The reason you sign it at the bottom is because you've read and applied your mind to accept that contract. That's basic contract law.
Right. So why did she sign at the top?
Because it was a deception.
Deception, yeah.
Yeah. She could never be beholden to the oath that she took.
Apparently she never put her hand on the Bible either.
Well, we hear tell there's a gap between that, but I'm not going into, I won't call it a triviality. It depends how much you want to read into it. But regardless, she signed it at the top, and that is not a contract regarding an oath in law.
Right.
Yeah. So what do we rely on now? We don't rely on her or her oath. We rely on the Coronation Oath Act.
True.
Yeah, she's irrelevant now. The Coronation Oath Act, 1688. You can read the express words and understand those express words. Yeah. So she gave up her position as monarch, but she never actually really took it. But she gave it up, and she became a head of a corporation. Right. So now people have a lot of problems with the police.
Yes, don't we
Right.
just?
Well, and they take an affirmation. Now, we are not mentioned in that.
It's changed, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I put the two definitions up on Facebook last night. But no police officer, is beholden to protect us.
No.
They're not legally or otherwise. They protect the head of state. All our buildings, this is a criminal fraud and deception. Because they're not telling you the truth of the criminal conversion from monarch to head of state.
See, yeah, so as a monarch, when she was the Queen of Great Britain, she was the monarch, she was there for the people, but when she took, did you say, the coronation oath, and she became head of state, she's now there for the corporations.
In 1973. on the 1st of January.
So everything happened on the 1st of January, right? Coronation Oath Act 1973 then changed all oaths.
Coronation Oath Act 1688.
Oh, 1688.
Now that document, FCO 1048, that were buried for 30 years, converted her position. Exactly.
So, well, we're well and truly screwed, aren't we?
No, on the contrary, we're not. We are not.
Okay, well, before we get to any kind of solution, keep educating us and breaking the puzzle down before we can put it together, because this is
It's one hell of a puzzle.
It's really, really interesting. I'm finding it so interesting. I hope you guys are too, but I'm really,
when we all learn to read a superior statute,
right,
such as the Bill of Rights, a guy say is stopped by police and is given a roadside fine. They can't do that.
But
you rely on the Bill of Rights. The council sends you a council tax bill, and it says to you that, right, you haven't paid this, we're going to get a summons, blah, blah, blah. No fine or forfeiture without conviction before a jury of your peers. The council are acting as a jury, notwithstanding that under the, let me get this right, Halsbury's law now.
Yeah.
Halsbury's laws of Parliament. No administrative court can be legitimised because of the constraints on the monarch's oath. Right.
When I'm gonna come back to a question regarding that. One of the biggest things that are going on right now, but carry on, because that is really interesting. So all administrative courts are fraudulent, basically.
Yes, they're not legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So when you understand that they're not legitimate, then why the hell do we go? We go because we're in fear.
Yes. Well, because a lot of people have possessions, like assets.
Exactly.
And they think they're going to lose them.
They want the masses. They want you in slavery. They want you accepting that they are the be-all, end-all. Well, I've never been beat. I have never been beat. Once I got the whole act together. Right. 24 years of research. And I've took bailiffs on, I took 3 police officers on, I took Boris on, I took them all on. And they go away. Now, the question is, why do they go away? Because they're all acting in treason or aiding and abetting treason.
Yeah.
But that law still stands. Now, some will argue that Blair repealed it. Well, wait a minute. The very individual that's committing the treason cannot repeal the act that makes him accountable.
Yeah,
before a jury. He knew exactly what he was doing, did Blair. I've no love for him. Well, I don't even like any of them.
No.
The point is, when you understand the manipulations and the trickery and the deceptions and all that lot, and you're aware of them, you'll beat any one of them. I beat chief constables, I beat judges, I've had so-called criminal charges dropped. All because I have this chronological, from start to finish, understanding, and I just wait for them. And I'll say, come on, bring it on. But the point is, like with one particular lad, they charged him with, he was a father that took his child, and they charged him with Child Abduction Act, 1984. And I said, well, we're not having this. You've done that in an administrative court. That's illegal. So the judge himself has failed to sign and stamp the order. He's done that because he knows he's liable in treason.
All judges now fail to stamp any order.
And that's deliberate because there's liability if they do. So under Lord Denning, in Bellinger v. Bellinger,
yeah,
if an order is not signed and stamped, it is void.
Right.
I went to Leeds Court with this kid. Bang, bang, bang. She's going, no, I said, that is just merely an emblem. There is no court stamp on this order. There is no officer of the court signing it, i.e. you, and there's no judge signing it. So where's its validity?
Well, this is what we keep arguing. Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you a scenario, and how would you deal with this? Because what you're saying, we are coming across this on a daily basis, and you know, yeah, and it is awful. Now, let's just say, you know, we've got a bailiff writ for repossession of a property, but there is no wetting signature, and the stamp, in fact, has been on the wrong side of the letters. Even the stamp, the court stamp, is on the wrong side. The police are not there. So I've just learnt yesterday, because we're supporting a friend in court, and I've just learnt that you can only go to an administrative court for a matter of fraud. Fraud can never become a crime, because the police won't see it as a crime. So until the police see it as a crime, it can never be, no one can ever be charged. So this is why banks and everyone get away with it. So you've got this fake document, but you've got the police always acting in the bailiff's favour, because there is, obviously, they are all for profit, and there is asset stripping. What are people meant to do in that moment when you've got the bailiffs trying to enter your home, police supporting them? Right. And
me personally, I had 3 at my door. Yeah, Boris Johnson sent them, actually. Yeah, and they said, well, you've been sending emails to Boris Johnson. I said, yes, it's called treason. And they went, well, you can't do that. Of course I can do that. Now, have you got any first-hand knowledge of it? And they went, well, no. And you're also a corporation, aren't you? They denied that. I said, right, wait a minute. So I come out with West Yorkshire Police Corporation, Dun and Bradstreet number. You're lying to my face. Now you're impersonating, now here's the key phrase, constitutional constable. They're claiming they're a constable, but they're not constitutional. We have never agreed to corporate governance, ever.
Well, that's a good one, isn't
Period.
it?
So that is the fraud in itself.
They're not going to know that in that moment. They're not going to know
what they know. I care about whoever's viewing this. I care about the old folk that's suffering tonight and worrying about getting cold or warm. I care about a child that's got no food in his or her belly. I care about what's right and wrong.
Yes.
I don't give a flying monkey about Boris Johnson, because I know what they're all about. And I know who the puppet pullers are, the string pullers are, which is the Rothschilds. Now that, if you want me to go on that one, I will do. Briefly.
Maybe you can. Yeah, go on then. Let's do it.
In Parliament sits what's called a remembrancer. And he sits at the side of Lindsay Hoyle. Lindsay Hoyle is the Speaker of the House. But that remembrancer is an agent of a foreign state called the Inner City of London.
Right.
Who's controlling what here? Well, I can tell you now, because the Inner City of London is controlled with, all that controls the stock markets. And you can go on to the stock market now and look at the motif, and it is the Rothschilds badge.
Yeah.
It looks like a George Cross, but it actually has an upside down sword on it. And then research the Rothschilds, and there you have it. There is the proof the Rothschilds are controlling this country.
That's amazing. Someone said not forgetting the Jesuits.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to go racist with this. I don't like that.
But then they're meant to all be part of it.
Yes.
Well, there you go. The banking. So, it's all
being
money.
The greatest bankers of all, they claim that we are in a national debt. We've just had this rubbish of coronavirus go off, haven't we? And Sunak said, we borrowed 350 billion. Now, let me tell you how the banking system works. Sunak borrowed 350 billion from the Treasury. Yeah. And it came into our economy. Yeah. And then it should have gone through our economy. Everybody, like, you know, what do they call it, furloughed. Yeah. It remained in the economy and gone back to the Bank of England. Except, here's what really happened. Numerous people were getting contracts and it were all going abroad. I'm talking billions. That they are creating in criminal enterprise a national debt. When it should have been returned, you borrow 350 million. 350 million should go back to the treasury, but it doesn't, because this is how they create the national. This country is not in any debt. Forgive my granddaughter.
Oh, that's okay. Are you okay for her to be online though?
Yeah, but yeah, she's fine. She's weak. Anyways, do you want to go back to Aunt Grandma?
No,
Please.
I want to stay with you.
You want to stay with Grandad, okay. Right, but what I'm saying is you have to understand every aspect of what's being thrown at us, that's duping us. They're where they're lying to us. They're deceiving us and they are acting fraudulently against us. So there is no national debt, period. A bit like the, you know, with the... wait a minute, darling. Now listen, I need to talk to this nice lady here and these nice people here. Come on, you're famous now. Go down and grandma. Yeah, it's very nice. Go down and grandma. So what I'm saying...
Whistle.
If you need to put yourself on mute to talk to your granddaughter.
No, it's fine. No, I have to talk to this lady. Yeah, all right. It's a whistle. It's a whistle. Take it with you. Right. Apologies. This is a live wire. I taught her to be a live wire.
I need help.
Well, go ask Grandma then.
Can you show me help?
So is this how they're trying to create? Someone said they're trying to create hyperinflation. Is this how they're doing it? Because of what?
Yes. Bang on. And Boris is claiming, oh, we're in this and we've got to put prices up. And what a load of crock of crap.
So for the record, why do they want to create hyperinflation?
Because they're losing control. People like me are waking other people up. We're standing in front of these, well, they're not judges, they are corporate CEOs, yeah?
I thought they were actors.
They were what, love?
I think they're actors.
And who's pulling the strings? The Rothschilds.
Yep.
For profit. But the thing is, when you understand is what are they actually trying to gain a profit from, which is a legal tender. Yeah. I promise to be the bearer. It's on every £20 note, £5 note, £10 note. It is legal tender. It has no value.
Yeah.
That's why in 1973, Edward Heath stole 544 ton of gold and gave it away to a foreign state.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Intent on taking away our sovereignty. He actually financed a foreign state to commit treason against us. But it didn't stop there.
No.
It also happened with Gordon Brown in 2008, commonly known as the Brown's Bottom. 744 ton of gold gone. Now, what are they doing actually? What they are doing is weakening us. Yeah, okay. Come on now. I need to talk. Love, get baby, will you? So what I'm saying is, my researches can only lead me to one point, which is to take away all that our forefathers as grandfathers. Yeah. And now all they got left is to take our buildings, the landmass. They're after the landmass now. And that's done by
asset stripping.
The asset stripping by the banks and the foreign state of the inner city of London. And every judge is an agent of that foreign state by the Bar Council. They're all foreign. And I throw it at them. Come on, bring it on. The point is, it's very intricate and complex. The purpose of this conversation is to I'd like to convey and ask people to understand the relevance of superior statutes.
Yep.
And when we grasp that, that is where our strength lies. Yeah, because they run a mile. There's many a video of a magistrate running in a court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can get them over internet all day long. But the point is, does it have an impact? Of course it does, because they, the judges, the magistrates court, are all committing treason.
Mm-hmm.
So when I come to I'd like to go through chronology of the relevance of treason by stealth over 50 years. That's what I call it, treason by stealth. Right, so Margaret Thatcher and Edward Heath between 70 and 74 committed treason. Yeah. She was party to it. She knew about that document that got buried. You can lay your bottom dollar on it. She was the education secretary in the cabinet. Right. So then what did they do? Right. When you read the document that was buried for 30 years, he is told in the first 30 pages, you are losing sovereignty. But just to lose that much sovereignty is treason. And it's been treason by stealth ever since. Yeah. So what did Heath do? He brought out two significant acts when he was committing a crime which are void. Yeah. The acts are the 1972 Local Government Act, which instituted statutory officers in councils.
Yep.
Which means they are aiding and abetting a crime. Let's let a jury decide it, shall we? That's my view.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Now, that worked between 70 and 74. What?
Where's my yogurt?
Yogurt's downstairs. Go get it off camera. Go get it off camera. So, 70 and 74, the relevance. Local Government Act. And this is where it all started, the corporate takeover. Yeah. And he instituted statutory officers in councils. Then he started to reduce your local parameters. Like I'm from Wakefield. Right, I live in Wakefield now, but I can tell you now that they brought it to a metropolis, i.e. Wakefield District Metropolitan Council. And he shrunk it. Now, we're all going to work. We just want to feed his families. Yeah, but the politicians are the most evil sons of bitches walking this planet.
Absolutely.
And I won't hide that. I won't change what I just said.
No, they are.
So that's where it all started. Then they realised, because of that paper that were buried, we have to get some way of blaming the public.
Yeah.
So what they did was a referendum in 1975. But it was 62% to go into the EEC now. And the other 38% said no. The point is, 62% of the nation committed treason. So all that's a load of crap and it's void.
Yep.
So that was Wilson. So now, when Wilson went and he lost and Thatcher came back in, now remember, she'd already committed treason. And she won this so-called election in 1979 and had so-called power until 1990. Yeah.
Right.
But what did she actually introduce in criminality? The Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, the Supreme Court Act 1980, the Magistrates Court Act 1980. Well, they're all void.
They're all, yeah.
Because she was acting in criminality, namely treason or high treason in 1774, and he's repeating it in 1979. Do you understand that?
Yep.
So the other part, all you got to do there to find out who co-conspirators were, go on to Wikipedia, type the cabinet for Edward Heath.
Oh, and you see all the names.
And all the names come up. Then get the cabinet for Margaret Thatcher in 79. And she dragged 6 of them, 6 co-conspirators with her into the 1979 illegal government.
Yeah.
It's Willie Whitelaw, Francis Pym, Ian Gilmore, and they're all the rest, and you just match them. And they all knew about that document that were buried. This is where we're being proper royally, forgive this, shafted.
Yeah, shafted, yeah, absolutely.
So this now passed over after 79 to 1990. Now, the one person I despise on this planet more than anybody is Tony Blair.
Right.
So they're all like, we can get photographs off the net, which is called overt. They are openly committing treason.
Right.
Contrary to the 4 statutes I said earlier.
Yep.
Openly doing it.
Openly doing it, yeah.
Nobody has ever consented to that.
I've got the statutes, I'm just going over. So contrary to all the Coronation Oath, Bill of Rights, Acts of Settlement and Treason Act. So they're going against all of these acts without
committing treason.
Yeah.
Overtly. Not covertly, overt. In open public. But we're just normal guys going to work.
Most people won't know because it's been done in such a way that, you know, it's like a, you know, it's like a dripping tap.
Stealth. Yeah. Slowly catchy monkey. Yeah, that's what they think. Except you get a guy like me, and if you want to know me history, I'll quite happily tell you. But that's for another, maybe, I don't know, I'm going to say it outright. And it's proper that people do know. If I'm going to get some credibility, or what, I really don't care anyway.
Oh, please do, come on.
But I will tell you that a certain judge acting on behalf of a foreign federal state in 2000 and 2 police officers and 1 now sitting judge called Sean Morris. The names are, we'll start with DC. Now, this is straight off my head. This is 20 odd years ago. Right? DC 4673, Keith Porter. DC 3881, Beatty. PC Johnson. Sean Morris, Crown Prosecutor. And Norman Jones, allegedly a High Court judge. I say, bring it on today. But I'll tell you now, all my papers relating to a so-called conviction in 2000 had disappeared. Every one of them.
What were they trying to convict you of?
No, they did convict me of, allegedly. But they can't convict me because the court was acting fraudulently. It was acting in treason. So the conviction is void anyway. But it took me 3.5 years after being incarcerated to find out actual material fact proof.
Yep. Well, it's not until you go through something yourself.
Well, let me tell you, I've had 3 murder charges thrown out.
Not yours.
Yeah.
Well, not your murder charges.
Not mine, no.
Right.
There was one where I'll quote it in Bradford, a lad's running on and there's a kiddie running towards him and this, let's say an individual who liked children, was running and trying to get this kid in. So this lad hit him and he ended up dead on the floor. Yeah. So I got hold of all his papers and all this carry on and it went from murder to manslaughter. I went, no, manslaughter, section 47, no. Right down the right, and he got done with common assault. But he was just happy to go home. But he cried on my shoulder that morning.
Imagine you've saved him.
They weren't letting me go.
But there's a lot of money in prisons, isn't there? So they need people to go in.
Commercial enterprise.
Yep, absolutely.
It is not a punishment or whatever. It is a commercial enterprise. So let me tell you, 7 years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide it. I've no need to hide it. 7 years to find the material fact proof, of that. Now, I just sent to CCR. I don't want to bang my own drum here. Let's deal with the major things. But I'm telling you now that after 22 years, right, I've got material fact proof and they won't dare let me in a court. So what redress do I have? To literally destroy the credibility of that judge, that prosecutor, police officers and Graham Moore of West Yorkshire Police of the day.
Yep.
And I'm batting that off without referencing bits of paper. But that is me, guys. That is what's caused me to be what I am today. Period.
And
so
I do
realize if they will do it to me, they will do it to anyone.
They will, absolutely they will. And you know, and this is why, you know, I always say that the pen really is mightier than a sword at the moment, and knowledge is power. But the problem we have is that there's a lot of difficulty in finding the right knowledge because there's a lot of misinformation at the moment.
Forget about the misinformation. Come back to the 4 statutes I mentioned.
Yeah.
And the express words, such as no fine or forfeiture without conviction, before a jury of your peers. Now,
so, but they won't let it. Like, so an example. Let's look at the repossession.
Let's say it count. I've had one today, and I laugh at them. Well, I haven't actually had it. My legal entity, dead legal entity.
Yeah.
I've had it. Yeah. The point here is, I can challenge them all day long.
Yeah.
I will win. I will win. So, but the ordinary person I gel with all day long, the fear, the worry, the upset, do I do this, do I do that, where do I turn? It's a nightmare.
It is.
And somewhere along the line, you've got to get your own bit scruff at neck, give your head a shake. And we all need to support one another.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
I don't care. There's an old dear lives at back of me now, right? Can't get out, and I walk a dog. I see a lady walking down with, 80-odd-year-old carrying 2 big bags of shopping. Would you like her help? Where has the community spirit gone? They've destroyed it. They have destroyed it. So all I'm saying is we all have forgotten that the real attributes as far as people go. Yeah, I won't say human beings because that means monster. Yeah. But I will say as individuals, right? Yeah. To help the next door neighbour or ask over the road, are you okay? Or even saying good morning to somebody. How are you doing? How's your life? And you see them sat there. I see them sat on park benches and I talk to them. I've chatted with 4 kids at 13-year-old playing football with them tonight. Yeah. And us older end, yeah, but it's an unfortunate burden that I'm 66-year-old because I can remember all this corruption.
Oh, yeah.
And the younger people can't. But the law is the law, is it not? And when they break that,
yep,
anything that they do after that point, as long as you can prove it, which is generally the Bill of Rights and the Coronation Oath Act, just raise them two.
So let's just say that we've got a bank mortgage fraud and the bank's trying to take your property. So you ended up signing this document because you believed that, the bank was going to lend you the money and blah, blah. We know that we know mortgages are set up in such a way that the only people that make are the bankers and everyone along. And you think that you are making, but actually you're being royally shafted.
You are lending them your own energy.
Yeah. So, but it comes to a point where I've met so many people lately that are trying to protect their homes. And so how could you do that with a corrupt system like this?
Right. First and foremost, I mentioned earlier about administrative courts cannot be legitimised.
Right.
These are all dealt with in administrative courts. So any order, so the judge creating the order for the repossession has already broken the law, which means the order is void. Lord Denning.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's there. You can type on net now, Lord Denning, void order, PDF.
Right, I'll do it now. Right, Lord Denning, void.
Void order PDF.
Court of Appeal judgment template. Is that the one, the void order?
Yeah, well, there's a lot. There's a multitude.
If an order in court was made because the judge or any party to the judgment and had no jurisdiction, broke the law, or ignored due process.
Yay!
Is that the one?
That's the one.
Is void. Anything. So if an order in court was made because the judge or any party to the judgment had no jurisdiction, broke the law, or ignored due process, that order is void. So you're saying that the judge would have no jurisdiction?
No, he hasn't, because he's no jurisdiction because he brought the coronation oath.
And broke the law because it's all treason.
He's broke his promissory oath under 1868 Act.
Or ignored due process.
Exactly.
How would you have done?
Due process is right. If a bank is claiming a repossession, only a jury can decide that under Bill of Rights, because they're attempting to obtain a forfeiture.
So anything after the point when the person acted ultra virus is void.
Yeah, ab initio.
Ab initio. It didn't happen. You can apply to have.
It's like it never happened.
Void order nullified.
Do you understand that?
Well, I do. Yeah. I'm wondering how powerful this document is.
Oh, very much so.
Because we've got quite a few cases at the moment of repossession, and I will give you an example. I think I mentioned this on a live the other day, so anyone who knows, please share this, by the way. We supported a family, and the lady's got heart conditions, and they are in dispute with the mortgage at the moment. We managed to win the repossession. They walked away. The bailiff was very, very angry, and so he was on a mission. He was not happy that he didn't get his bonus or commission.
Whatever.
So they turned up 8 o'clock one morning with 20 men.
Right.
Not police, with 20 men, broke into these people's houses. And basically, because there was only her and her husband, how could they fight 20 men? So now this couple is still struggling to get back into their home. That's just one story. Another story is we supported a repossession. We won. They went. They then turned up unannounced. The bailiffs were going to walk away because the gentleman is very knowledgeable in this field. The police turned up, and the police were all arms blazing. They ended up beating this guy up, smashing the door down. And the reason they done that is because they had already sold the house behind their backs, and they needed to get them out.
This is where we come to Land Registry Act 2002, which is corporate. Yeah, we have never consented. Yeah, we've consented to a constitutional land registry.
Right.
We're a corporate. So to convert or sell or put a charge on something, which I'd done with them, I said, bring it on. But what you got to understand is when a bank does this, it's not the owner. Only the owner has the right to make that claim, not a corporate title. Yeah.
And the owner would be the...
But that didn't help anyone at the time, did it?
No.
So what we're talking about, how can I advise people to help themselves beforehand, before it gets to that stage? It's very simple. Yeah. You've got to do a bit of research about your bank or about the bank in question. I guarantee you they have already been paid hand over fist.
Yes.
By securitized instruments and, and things like that. So you've got to do a little bit of research with Securities and Exchange Commission in USA and report them for fraud. That shuts them down, which means they'll have no claim. Only the owner of the bank can make the claim to open it back up. Yeah, this falls under UCC codes now because it's legal tender that you're dealing with. Yeah.
Right.
Do you know about the UCC codes?
Universal Community Code.
Right, I'll go with that. But
so apparently some people would argue that that's only for America, but I understand that the UK laws are.
Whoa. Now, here's the thing. When we read cases in America decided by the Supreme Court or whoever, they are by council, yeah? British accredited, registered.
Exactly. This is what I've heard.
And this is where it leads you back to the inner city of London, a foreign state.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Every judge is registered to that foreign state. Every QC, every solicitor. Never, ever get a solicitor.
No.
QC, barrister, silk, whatever.
What is a solicitor? He's soliciting. He's a prostitute for the...
a prostitute, yeah. But what's the first rule of a solicitor, QC, etc.? Yeah. It's to abide by the court.
Yep.
Not the client.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they will defend that first and foremost. They have a separate oath to a foreign state. Now, what do you think? A separate oath.
Exactly.
So
they're not there
how
for you.
are we supposed to win? So we impose the Bill of Rights, yeah, and a jury trial. They crap themselves because now we're going back into constitution. You drag them into constitutional.
How can you impose a jury trial when they don't want you to go to a jury trial?
Because they can't oppose a jury trial.
How do you ask for a jury trial?
Right. Here's how you do it. Right. One, you're taking it to the wrong court. The court you should be taking it to is the Court of Equity.
Right.
Or Court of Chancery.
Yeah.
And you take out forms CH11.
Yeah.
Which is an injunction form.
Right.
And you take the injunction out against the bank. You take any receiver, whoever. Now, the thing about an injunction in the Court of Equity is you can set the terms. Did you know that?
No. That's why I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you because I really don't know much about this, and you're
I do.
Very educating me very much.
You can set the terms. E.g., if you violate this injunction, you could be sent to a prison immediately.
Wow.
You can forfeit your personal property.
Right, so
you can forfeit your bank accounts. So you can put in what you want.
So this Court of Equity CH11 injunction form, what can you apply that to?
Anybody. Chief Constable, police, even Boris Johnson.
So can you apply it to
whoever's going to get in there?
So can you apply it to, for instance, your utility company?
Yes.
Then they're not allowed to gain entry onto your property?
Yes. Which I'm going to have to jump back now a little bit regarding utilities now. And stupid bloody all this raising. Oh, it's costing you more for this and it's costing you more for... Well, hang on a minute. I just said Thatcher, was acting in treason.
Yep.
And she sold the gas, electric and water in the mid-80s.
Yep.
She could not do that because she was acting in criminality. So the utility companies that have bought them are receiving stolen goods. One.
Exactly.
Are you getting it now?
I'm just looking for an email that I received yesterday. And it was actually, I can't find it now, but basically it was the grid. They emailed me admitting, this is your national grid. We own, we own your electric. They have admitted it. They own it. So if you own it, why do we have these intermediaries that are stealing? And the only thing they're doing is making money for I can't remember the name now of anyone who wants to make profit on them.
It is now the Theft Act 1968, which I will agree to.
Right.
Particularly Section 52A.
Yeah.
And in Archbold Criminal Pleading and Evidence Practice 2006, publisher of Sweet and Maxwell, which is what all the judges do. Yeah. Under Section 52A, a single person who, right, you pay taxes for every street lamp, road, everything. Gas board, electric board, you created it. Your parents created it, your grandparents, yeah?
Yep.
We own it.
So that's the
solved it in criminality.
Theft Act.
1968.
So why? So explain in so much. Why do we own it?
Right, because it doesn't just create itself, does it?
No.
So where do they get the finances from, i.e. government? They get it from us by way of taxation.
So some people would argue that you should pay for the gas and electric because someone has to get it and provide it and whatever.
No, because all these things that we bought for and created were for our personal security.
Yep.
And yet they've been stolen. That's why I've not paid a gas bill in 6.5 years.
Because the thing is, this is my argument, is there are things that are necessary for you to survive. And gas, warmth, water, and, a roof over your head.
Exactly.
And, these are necessary things that should not be charged at extortionate prices.
Agreed.
And I think there's something that even falls under the war crimes. This is actually...
I'm just talking in terms of how they breach superior statutes to get and sell and steal and do anything. Yeah. To me, all political parties should be declared as terrorist organisations. That's my view. However, we're dealing with legislation versus law. And law will always win in a court of equity because legislation doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right.
It's whether, like in a court of equity, a corporation cannot challenge it. It has to be an individual.
Right.
So you research the company, i.e. Bulb or whoever, who owns it, bang. Right? And that's the person you want in there. And that's who you take the charge out, the injunction out against. And all sub-offices and agents. Your wording is crucial.
Right.
It's so vital. And when you do that, you'll find that they just disappear.
So where would the average, person like myself get the wording right?
Well, I suppose we're going to have another carry on, aren't we?
We're going to be.
I'm actually, now, because I'm a bit of a dinosaur, yeah, we're talking now, but I've been told I can get on Windows 10, verbal to text.
Yes, you can.
And I can put text to print.
Or
then I'll give that out freely.
Or you can phone me, have a live with me, and I can type it up for you.
I'm not a techie.
No, I can do it for you if you want.
Keep it all in here.
Either way, I think we need to. I'd love to work with you to get the templates and share your knowledge.
You'll win. Every time you'll win, because remember, we all say, oh, they're criminals. The difference between a person that claims they're criminals, I don't make a claim. I support it with evidence.
Yep. Now, another question. How do you know that the Court of Equity will stand by you? Because
it still stands under those 4 laws that I just told you about earlier.
Why would the Court of Equity stand under those laws?
Because this is a manipulation since 1973. The legislation there is the laws of man, i.e. Boris Johnson, Edward Heath, Thatcher, yeah. And that's that. But in the Court of Equity, yeah, which is material things, by the way, it's a different matter. And if there's a fraud occurred, yeah, they have to prove that A, they haven't committed a fraud, and B, it's your burden of proof to prove they have. Now let a jury decide it, and they will crap themselves.
Do you think, I mean, because we're dealing with such corrupt system, do you think they could corrupt the jury, or can you bring a jury of your peers?
Jury of your peers. This is where under 1974 Juries Act, created by Heath, that's out the window. They can't rely on it. So what other jury can be created under constitutional law?
What one?
Which brings you back to the Bill of Rights.
Right, the Bill of Rights, where you can have a jury of your peers.
You can pick them.
Right. So the Court of Equity. Now, I think when we spoke last time, because you were quite fast, you mentioned another court. Is it the Chancery Court or something? You said that
the Chancery Court, Court of Equity.
Court of Equity is the Chancery Court.
Same court, yeah.
Right, and then you mentioned another place where both places are acting as one, and that's not a good place to go. What do you remember that one? I'm trying to find the notes.
That is your magistrates' courts, crown courts, and all that lot. Yeah. Do not go near them.
No. So I'm trying to find the notes that I done, because I did do some notes when we spoke. I can't remember. I've got so much stuff on my. Oh, there we go. I found it. So you mentioned a book that would really help people,
which is Archbold.
Right, Archbold, yeah.
Criminal Pleading and Evidence Practice.
Criminal Pleading Practice, right, wonderful. So, so no government, I remember you saying no government has ever stopped treason, which means that everything the governments do is
aiding and abetting.
Yeah. Blair turned everything corporate under an instruction from the EU.
EU /49 2003.
That's right. So he has stolen everything, every public authority from this state.
And then in 2008, Clearfield Doctrine.
And like you say, Thatcher took away the Bill of Rights Act and introduced the Magistrates Court Act. And then you said capital CF, as in...
Yes. Which means similar to.
So what you're saying is...
If all these statutes and acts since 1973, I claim are void, yeah, then you attach them in this way. You say they are similar to. Yeah.
Right.
You're not accepting them. You're just saying it's similar to.
And then you place them back to, they're similar to.
Like Fraud Act 2006, Section 3, failure to give relevant information, for example.
Yeah. How did Maggie Thatcher take away the Bill of Rights? We've got a question.
She took away, well, she didn't actually take it away. What she did was, once we went into a foreign federal state, it was the foreign federal state of the EU that began to infiltrate the Constitution of Britain.
Yep.
But we were just working people then. All we got was looking after his family. So now, today, we're all waking up.
Yep.
And because we're waking up, we are dissecting every issue put before us. Wording, things like that. Particularly express words.
Yeah.
Now, the Archbold that I just said to you there, the Archbold Criminal Pleading and Evidence Practice, yeah, it states in Chapter 1, yeah, Chapter 1.6,
yeah,
to disobey a statute is an indictable offence, and it specifically states treason.
Right. So we've got one lady saying that doing this will land you in prison.
No, it won't. No, because that's fear, isn't it?
I think
now,
that, yeah.
Here's the thing. Once you do that, yeah, and you bring this up, you are a litigant in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. They cannot come near you. They cannot touch you. That is the law of procedure in court process, right? So if they come near you and try to say, oh, land you're in prison, any party interfering with you as a litigant in person is committing contempt of court, yeah? And that goes under Justice of the Peace Act 1949, I believe, Section 4.
You really have done your research, haven't you? But like you say, you've got 24 years on this. We're only just starting.
You see, we can take back constitutional governance in an instant. Yeah, we can do it within 3 months. Because we just tell your local council to do one.
Yeah.
Now, if you look up the Justice of the Peace Act 1949,
yeah,
it means all you need is to set up a commission, what's called a Commission of the Peace.
Yeah.
That Commission of the Peace then appoints a Justice of the Peace.
Yeah.
That Justice of the Peace then has the power vested in him from the Commission to appoint constables. Constitutional constables, by the way, which Tony Blair decided to remove in 1995.
Yep.
So when you review the Justice of the Peace Act 1949, then the Police Act 1965, we've now got constitutional governance back. Yeah. But we can only do that within a 15-mile radius. Yeah, of where that commission is set up.
So what you're saying is that we should get communities together and set up these commissions of peace.
Yeah.
What this is?
That is simply it. It's a grinder.
And okay, so maybe because I would really like to carry on obviously working with you so we can help
I will apologise, mate. My knowledge is extensive and I can roll it off my tongue for fun of it.
There is nothing to apologise there for that.
But when it comes out, do you know what? I just wish, and if there is a big fella up there or whatever, God give me the strength to get across to people what is right, really, truly right. And Boris is not right. Boris is an evil man.
Absolutely. Well, he's part of the, agenda, isn't he? He's part of the corrupt agenda. So right, before I ask you what you think their end goal is, you mentioned something. If you get a letter, window box on the back, do not open it.
Yeah.
Right on the front.
What are these for?
The PO box number, third party interlope, acting in fraud. Yeah. Contrary to CF Fraud 2006 Section 3, is that right?
CF, yes. Key part CF. Similar to.
Right, so let me get this right. Let me say this again for people that didn't understand and correct me if I'm wrong. So if you get a letter with a window box on, do not open it, and on the back, right on the front, the PO box number.
Well, just look on the computer. Whatever PO box it is, just type in your computer. It'll come up with odds on Lowell's or Marsden's.
And right, third party interloper acting in fraud, contrary to the CF. Fraud Act 2006 Section 3.
Yes,
it is illegal.
Irrelevant information.
Right, so it is illegal to use a PO box in commerce.
Yes, that's international law.
And there you go. So I thought this would be good to let people know because I'm getting a lot of windowed envelopes. Write with a purple pen. So all judges are corporations, so not under their oath. And you say you can put them under their oath by typing out their oath and asking them to sign it.
Beforehand.
Same applies to police because they are in your jurisdiction.
In all... Whoever's watching this now, if you've ever been in a court, it's presumptive. A magistrate walks in and you presume he is under an oath.
Yeah.
Now in America, they do it the other way. Every day, a judge will swear his oath before he sits down. But
now,
here
I have been in a court where the judge will not go forth if you ask him, are you under your oath? I've actually witnessed it myself, and the judge says, we are not here to discuss that. We are here to discuss your case. And you say to him, but are you under your oath? And they said, please stop wasting court time. We are not covering this.
So he's not established his jurisdiction and authority, has he, by failing to actually take that or confirm it?
Yep.
He's out of his jurisdiction. He has no authority. He's acting in colour of law. The case is McCain v. Des Moines, and say, bye, see ya, idiot, I'm gone.
Yep.
And walk out. Oh, and knowing me, I'd turn around and say, and by the way, because you've not established your jurisdiction and authority, therefore, any order you make today is void. Lord Denning.
So that's Lord Denning again. So
yes.
You're just you're a vault of knowledge, aren't you? I think I'm going to.
It's an opinion.
Lord Denning. So remind me, what did Lord Denning say?
Lord Denning said in Bellinger v. Bellinger, if a order is not signed by a court officer or a judge, it is void.
By a court.
It's like it never happened.
It is void. So the judge has to sign it. And you can actually bring...
Wait a minute, I've got to correct you there a little bit.
Go on.
Either a judge or a court officer has to sign it and court stamp it. Yeah.
And a court officer could be the clerk.
Yes.
So, right. So same applies to the police because they're in your jurisdiction. So if the police comes onto your property and says, and you ask them.
He's not in your jurisdiction because he's acting in a corporate capacity. Therefore, if he makes any action to the contrary that you don't want, I've done it with 3. And I quoted Vaughan v. Mackenzie, in a minute, I'm going to take your head off.
What did you...
No, wait a minute. You've got to play their game. Now, okay, I'm 66, but I'm still capable. But somebody 89 isn't. Do you get me? And yeah. I can only say it this way. I were away on holiday, as you know. Yeah. And I saw this idiot sticking parking tickets on vehicles. I've still got them in my suit now. I took 12 parking tickets off vehicles. Right. And he said to me, what do you think you're doing? I said, more to the point, what do you think you're doing? Because you're contravening Bill of Rights and trying to extort monies. 1. 2, you're actually committing criminal trespass on people's private vehicles. You're acting in more crime than I ever will.
Some people might argue with you and say, as long as you've got your vehicle registered with the driving authority, then it's no longer a private vehicle.
Well, my vehicle is actually, it's still got their plate on to save the hassle. However, I've informed the DVLA that is my private property. The same with the bungalow with land registry.
So how did you do that with your vehicle? Because I'm having...
We paid for it in a current, what's called currency, i.e. silver or gold.
So you sent them a letter saying that this vehicle is your property.
Yes.
And they have no
right of claim over it.
And did you state any laws on that?
I don't need to. Bill of Rights says it. If you come near me, then you quote the Bill of Rights. Yeah. Even in the Bill of Rights, it says we have the right to own property.
Yes, you do.
There you go.
So, in fact, there was something I was going to bring up because while I've got you here, I thought I may utilise you, if okay, with everything that I can ask. Where were we? Do we have any questions?
I'm a masochist, by the way.
Sorry?
I'm not a masochist.
No. No, I mean, you just enjoy.
Come on, let's have a bit of humour.
You just enjoy all this. I mean, I enjoy all this knowledge as well, but you've had to do it for...
Listen, my suggestion, Laura, is this. I know a good few guys that are very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
I believe we'd be best suited by opening up an office nationally.
Yeah.
And if people want to donate, and I will succeed, as I know others will. What I will say is this. What's lacking here is a central hub that people can turn to when they're in despair. So we jump on straight away, CH11, get the injunctions out for 2 years, get it all sorted out, take the case on, look at it all, and you'll find they'll go away. Yeah.
I'm down with you. So I was looking at this a guy who very knowledgeable in this field. He said we have 72 hours the right to rescind a letter, so you can revoke, cancel or repeal with all posts and bills. You've got 72 hours, so you take a whatever, and he says you take a red pen or a purple pen. He says your offer to contract is not accepted while traveling in my private automobile. You operate under, and this is the American side, and I was wondering if I could find the UK site, but it says in America under the Title 18, Section 241 and 242 as a conspiracy to deprive me of my rights under the colour of law. Where would I find this?
The colour of law, key phrase there. When you know what the colour of law means, don't you?
No.
Without legal right. The case is McCain v. Des Moines.
What? Mackenzie?
No, McCain.
McKay?
McCain. As in chips.
Right,
McCain's
McKay.
chips.
Yeah.
Des Moines is D-E-S. Separate word now. M-O-I-N-A-E-S. That's the authority that steps outside their jurisdiction, which is what Boris is doing now, which is what every corporate council is doing now. They do not have a jurisdiction in constitutional law. So bloody quiet.
We in the UK are also under the colour of law.
Not UK.
Britain.
Landmass. You just referred to a corporation. I'm sorry to correct you.
Sorry, no.
The corporation.
I need correcting. So we are the Great Britain. Is that what we said? What we said?
The landmass.
UK, the Great Britain landmass, right? So, and this is where he says, you know, like there is a case law, and the operation of a motor vehicle upon public streets and highway is not a mere privilege, but is a right or a liberty protected by the guarantees of, in America, federal and state constitution. In the UK, it wouldn't be federal, wouldn't it? It would be the Constitution, the British Constitution,
which falls under Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights, that's it. So the use of the highway for the purpose of travelling and transportation is not a mere privilege, but a common and fundamental right of which the public and the individual cannot be rightfully deprived. No state government entity has the power to allow or deny passage upon the highways and transport in his vehicle and personal property for either recreation or business. Travel is not a privilege that can be permitted at will with forced insurance, registration or licenses, but it's a common and fundamental right of liberty granted by the Constitution.
Good.
And so, yeah.
Except what you... Now, I know we've dealt with a lot of things here. So the Constitution, yeah, and when legislation was brought, like double yellows, I had this argument with this idiot in Violet. Double yellows, etc., single yellows, all the one-way streets, all the were all brought in after 1973. It never existed. So all these double yellows, etc., have been created in criminal joint enterprise, which are void.
Yep.
I beat that many parking tickets and crap. I just park where I want, mate. But I will consider. Right, if I'm in a, let's say, a rural area, and you look about and, you know, I'm encroaching on somebody's private space.
Well, you're using your common sense, aren't you? You're,
exactly.
You know.
Common sense. This is why we don't need governments.
Now, what would you say you need when it comes to driving? The thing is, you always need to be liable if you cause harm, injury or loss.
Right, well, I would take this view. I have insurance, yeah.
Yep.
But as insurers, we can create an insurance company. It doesn't have to be under legislation. We do it by contractual agreement. Yeah. Now that's getting you thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So how would I do that? Because I've been told that you can access, right, this is what I was told. I was told that all the insurance companies that you get your car insured with, they actually access your trust. And what they do is they go through the Treasury And so if you ever have an accident, it goes through the Treasury and it accesses your trust.
But whose is the Treasury? I said this earlier. It's the Rothschilds.
Right. So, but someone has your trust, don't they?
They've got that. You're right. I can tell you my name and the all caps thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, you were a securitized instrument from birth, which were hidden from us all. And then on to Securities and Exchange Instrument. Now, every 30 years, mine's matured now twice.
Yep. And every time you do something, you progress or you...
Yes.
So,
you can pay in legal tender for any debt, again, Lord Denning, by a promissory note to be paid by the Treasury. Get me? Because they get annuities from, or maturities, sorry, from our securitized instruments every 30 years for each individual.
So promissory notes are definitely a valuable tool.
Yeah, but you must make it out. Now, you can either use your number on your birth certificate, your national insurance number, but drop the letters. Yeah.
Right.
Because they are part for that year. Like I was born in 56. I know I'm an old sod, but hey ho. But so were many, many others. And for that year, we became a block securitized instrument.
Right. Yep.
Do you get that?
Yep.
And they've used our energies to create, well, it isn't actually money because it's legal tender, so it's credit. In the world of commerce, there are credits. It is not money. It's legal tender. So when there's a bill asked for, they ask for it. If you said, right, I'll pay this in gold, they couldn't accept it. They'd ask for legal tender, which keeps you in the legal world.
Yep. Yep.
But in Lord Denning's judgment, once you offer a promissory note 3 times, then and it's refused 3 times, then there is no debt.
Right. So, you was talking about the Privy Council. They are the cabinet, also the Queen's ministers, and therefore they are not separate. They are creating acts and statutes in their names, but acting under 2 capacities, when actually they are one.
They're acting in colour of law, right? So I've explained how the Queen had her title converted to head of state, i.e. corporation. Yeah. Now, under constitutional government, she used to have a separate Privy Council that advised her as a monarch.
Yep.
And she either agreed or said yea or nay as a constitutional monarch. Now, as a corporate head of state, yeah, the cabinet is the one and the same as the Privy Council. They make the decisions. They still use the royal crest, which they're using criminally. Yeah. To make you think, you go in front of any court and it'll have the royal crest there. And they've no right to use it.
No.
Because they're corporate. So what's the next thing you would ask for? Can I have your contract that says you can use that because it's under copyright? Yeah. I guarantee you they won't produce it, so take it down.
In fact, someone actually said to me that you should write to your gas and electric companies and ask them to give you their liability order and their Ofcom license. He said, and most of them don't even have it.
They don't, because this is legislation. It's all based on it's presumption based. But once you turn it into factual based, yeah, then you're on a roll, because they can't prove jack.
So now, police don't take an oath; they take an attestation.
Affirmation.
Oh, affirmation, right?
But it's the same, attestation, affirmation.
Right.
Read the current one, established in 2002 by Blair. It's all what they're doing is giving an allegiance to corporations, which we are part of that. Which is why they stamp all over us. Which is why they support bailiffs.
And actually, was it you that said, because they're not available to swear, so it was you that said about when we spoke, your birth certificate is not proof of who you are, can you bring your parents to court? Because only they can prove who you are.
Right. I didn't create the birth certificate, did I?
No.
My parents aren't here, are they? So
No.
if a police officer said to me, I'm 66, what's your name? I was like, well, I just answer, well, I can't honestly tell you that. And I may be lying or telling an untruth if I do so. Well, how do you work that out? Because the parties that created it, my parents, are not here to swear under oath that they created that. Or me, for that matter. So I can't give you a name because I can't confirm it under oath.
Wow.
Is that not true?
That is very true.
So the second part, though, well, give us your date of birth, but you can't confirm that either. You were 6 weeks old, for Christ's sake. You see the presumptions that we all undertake daily and never question.
It's very, very true.
And there you go. So a police officer, can I have your date of birth? Can I have your name? Well, I can't give you that. Get me? Right now, I can't give you that. Well, for me, my parents are no longer here. So I can't call them on, they can't either. So it's a presumptive matter. It's a presumptive document, which won't last 10 seconds in a court of law under the rules of evidence. Because it does say at the bottom of a birth certificate, this is not evidence of identity.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
And that is why. It's there blatantly in your face, but you don't recognise it.
No, you don't. There's a lot of things that we have been blinded to. We've been hypnotised. Not
I won't say blinded to, I will say indoctrinated to.
I would say indoctrinated and also hypnotised, because it's there. You know, when people say, oh, I can't be hypnotised, listen, 99.9% of us at some stage or other in our lives have been hypnotised by our government.
The education system.
And de-education, yeah, exactly. And right, I'm just reading literally of the notes. Oh, right, yeah, Lord Denning of South Africa versus McSomething. Do you remember what that was? Huh?
McFoy.
McFoy, yeah. Right.
You're referencing that.
Go on.
Well, it's South Africa versus McFoy.
And what was that for?
There's a couple of cases he quoted that in.
What did he quote that for?
One was about a void order and the other was about a voidable order.
Oh, okay.
Now, a voidable order, you would have to go to court and get it appealed and quashed and set aside. Whereas a void order, you don't need to take any notice of it. That's what he's referring to there in that judgment.
Now, for people that don't own much, they keep getting letters, like myself, for instance. I don't actually own anything other than my car. And again, doing what you do is a good idea. I'm at the moment changing my plates because I've been clamped and, you know, dealt with that. But anyway, for people that don't own much, when we get these letters, a return to sender, send them back. There's no contract. It's easy. But obviously for people that do own things, they have to go through a more safe route to protect their assets.
Which is your court of equity, chancery.
Right.
They'll take it at Magistrates Court Act, council with council tax. But that's under their jurisdiction. But say, no, I'm not playing that game. We're going to court of chancery now. And they'll go, whoa, 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 whoa.
So you just go, like we said, you just go to the Court of Chancery and you get an injunction out on them.
CH11.
And what do? Just do you contact the court or go in?
If you're a person, say, on benefits or anything like that, there is a form you can get, which is EX160, which is fee remission. It don't cost you a penny.
EX160.
Yep.
And what does this form do?
It's fee remission. If you're on benefits or something like fee remission.
Oh, right, fee remissions. Okay. Okay, brilliant. And right, I think I'm just going to ask if there's any questions, because we've been on this over an hour and a half, and I could carry on because I actually think it's so interesting, and I just wish people would take the time and listen, and and I do believe, yeah, that's right, Lynn, justice should not be denied, but we are being denied.
Well,
and
I'd like to add a little bit of something here. There's a chap on my Facebook called Gary Blacklock who brings another entirely different perspective. Yeah, if you want to friend him, he'll talk to you, but he deals with global. I deal with internal. I won't say UK, I'm talking Great Britain law, superior statute. Gary does global. Yeah, and his knowledge is fantastic.
What's
and
his
he
name?
will tell you about things going on you won't even believe.
What was? Oh,
but
sorry.
That's if guys want to go down that road. I'm just saying.
Well, I would definitely be interested. What's his surname? Gary
Blacklock.
Right. So, let me just ask you, in your opinion, what is their end game? Where are they going? Because there's lots of speculation about what's going. Cashless society, digital identity, complete and utter control of everything, everyone, depopulation. Where do you think they're going?
You see, the Rothschilds look at us like an ant farm.
Yep.
You are one ant. I am one ant. We are treated as though we have not got the intelligence, or to be able to organise ourselves or understand things, or what. As long as they can give us this indoctrination that they create. In other words, you watch the propaganda TV, turn the bleeding thing off. Yeah, it is nothing but propaganda BS. Then you've got to start going back. Start with what I've suggested, and I've never lost with them. Yeah, and I will have Tony Blair hung before I've finished.
Well, we're all going to be there supporting you, definitely.
I want to pull the cord.
You just let us know the day.
All right. That's it.
Legally. But lawfully, exactly.
Lawful and legal is two different jurisdictions.
So where their end game?
Their end game is basically to steal everything and take away the last bastions we have that we would deem as like our own homes, for example. To reduce us to mush. To do with us what they shall so please, like hell I will. I've been to Northern Ireland twice, so I will fight anybody.
Do you think as well that they need to asset strip? They need to put people in debt, and they need to repossess because people are waking up to the mortgage fraud. So now they need to do something quicker.
Which is rely on the laws, the superior laws.
Right.
When you rely on the superior laws, not the monarch, but the Coronation Oath Act itself and its terms, in perpetuity, for all time. They can't, so it's them that's breaching that. Now, I mentioned in Archbold, chapter 1.6, to disobey a statute is what? Treason, misdemeanor, a crime, indictable.
Yep.
And it's there. That's their rules, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an expensive book to get, isn't it? But I'm sure we can find it.
No, I picked two up for 60 quid.
Oh, that's good. I'll have to have a look. Now, I wanted to ask you, because I'm just looking at a document, but coincidentally, we are being called for going against. This is what makes this so clever of them, is that if you go against your government, you're classed as a terrorist, or you have a terrorist ideology.
They're a colour of law government acting without legal authority.
Exactly, and this is what people need to sort of understand is that we're not.
They are not your government.
Exactly.
Conversion since 1973, the treason, all the rest of it. not one prime minister, right, that's took over the future, let's say government, I call it colour of law, but the future, like say from Thatcher to Blair, since when did Blair repeal anything that she did? And if you think he didn't know about the treason and that bloody FCO 3010/48, think again. They all know, because they're all the Rothschilds puppets of a foreign state.
Now, this petition of the FCO 3148 has only got 1,765 signatures. Now, forgive me, but isn't a petition one of the most ridiculous things to
Absolutely. Try? So you go take a criminal charge out against them under a PCP, right, which is a private criminal prosecution, by the way.
Right, so we could do that as a...
But under the 1795 Treason Act, it requires only 2 statements that are prepared to go under, where the parties making them are prepared to go under the oath, and I'm one of them. Yeah, because I am expert to convey to a jury the facts and the court, the corruption and all the rest of it. And I will beat them. I prefer to prosecute it than be a witness.
In your opinion, what would happen? What would change if the Queen died?
Yeah, but she's going to die as a head of a corporation.
Right, so what would happen if she's the head of the corporation? Would then just someone else take over the head of
corporation?
Right, okay, so nothing major.
With some brilliant research, we can find a bloodline, right? And we can say, whoever, now, Charles, what's he doing about it? Nothing. The only one that given any credibility, believe it or not, is Harry. He had the brains to get out of it.
Yeah.
He got out of it because he knows the corruption that exists. So
he was the black sheep of the family, wasn't he?
Exactly. So you've got to question, why did he do that? Why did he say to his mother and all the rest of you, on your bike, I'm going, I've had enough of this rubbish. He understood about what went on with his mother. But I'm not going into the trials and tribulations of the theories to do with Diana. I believe she's still alive, personally.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Do you know what? I don't dismiss anything now. Knowing that everything has been an absolute lie, I do not dismiss anything.
In other words, Boris Johnson, Keir Starmer, and all the rest of them have no... And I've challenged them all. Meet me on a stage. And I'll still say it again. Meet me on TV, on a stage, all of you, and I will tear every one of you apart because you are frauds. Yeah? And that is plain.
They wouldn't even meet Dr. Mike Eden on a TV show. That's how much. Yeah. So
what do you get from that? If they won't meet you and you are a so-called constituent or whatever resident of Great Britain, not the UK corporation, because that's where I'll rip them. Yeah. That is when you know that they don't have a backbone, they're invertebrates. I've seen more strong-willed frogs. Yeah, at least they're self-reproductive. But that's another story, isn't it? Sorry for me humour. But what I'm saying is, I'm frightened of none of them. Yeah, none of them. And if people stop being frightened of them, and it's hard. Believe me, I've spent 7 years in a 14x8.
Well, the problem is we've got cases, for instance, where people are taking ownership of their meters. And then we've got the meter owners, like the people that they think they provide the electric, coming to forcefully enter their properties. And if you don't let them in, they will try and dig up your road and cut you off. It's not
there to dig up. So this is where the CH11 comes in. Stay off my property. And your property is your roads, your street lamps, yeah, everything. Right, even the pipe work, Northern Power Grid is ours. So stay away from it. Take away their so-called power, but know how to do it. which is CH11, injunction and all, bulb and all the rest of it, even on the corporate courts, the Ministry of Justice, private corporation, put it on the lot of them. But it's got to be a definitive one. And then they will go away.
Definitive, yeah.
You can't just say, well, CEO. I mean, I'll tell you who owns all this lot, and you've got all this bulb and all the rest of it. They're all sub-offices of Centrica in Italy.
Oh, no.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I'll tell you what I do.
They are the reprobates that bought stolen goods, i.e. public amenities, sold to her by a criminal enterprise called Thatcher and Co.
Right.
Now, me being in a court and you tell me it's not our property, you prove it's your property and not being taken in by way of receiving stolen property. Try it.
If every man and woman has the right to a roof over their heads, because we all have a right to a home.
Yes.
How are they meant to get this home if they cannot afford, you know, the way things are going?
Right. So we'll go back to securitized instruments from birth. Yeah. And you get your loan, not from a bank, you get it from the Bank of England, based on your securitized instruments that were created by your BNF01. Do you know what BNF01 is?
No.
It was your birth notification form 1.
Right.
The second you came into this glorious world, because that's what it is, glorious. It's just these rats that are running it. But your BNF1 is the first ever record of your birth.
Wow.
And there are 4 duplicates to it. One went to Big Pharma, one went to government, one went to Securities and Exchange Commission. Do you get where I'm going here?
Yeah.
It's all commerce.
Yeah.
Yet without us, they are nothing. So when we take that self-governance, if we've got the backbone and we have the will to do so and get rid of all them, then we continue to reap the benefits from the securities, which means we're already billion-squillionaires. And dear old Rothschild has got to go away with his tail between his legs because he's not worth a carrot anymore, which pleases me no end, because we can become self-sustaining.
Yep.
We have the finances to be able to create what we want. We can continue to maintain the infrastructures that are already in place, i.e. water, roads, lighting, etc., without corporations getting the dirty little claws into it, which is all criminal. And I've explained that from 1973. And all it takes is people to read the Justice of the Peace Act 1949 and create your own commissions.
Right. So let's just go through because we're going to come to an end now. Anyone got questions, please drop it in there. So you recap that everybody should look into the superior statutes, which are the coronation.
That's your starting point.
Right, Coronation Oath, Bill of Rights, Acts of Settlement 1700 and the Treason Act 1795. And what you said as well, the Coronation Oath Act?
Yeah, 1688.
1688.
Well, in the Act of Settlement, if you'll allow me to interrupt a second.
Yep.
Sunak can never be the Prime Minister of this country.
Why?
Because if you look under the Act of Settlement, look on the government website, scroll down to F4 and it says provisions. Yeah. His parents are of foreign descent, and no party who is like he is may take up a position of trust, hold high office whatsoever. And I can tell you now, he is losing because of me. And I've said, if he goes and gets the Prime Minister, I'm going to indict him under Act of Settlement 1700. And I quoted that. And that is why he is scuttling off into the background, and even Truss is going to continue to commit criminal offences, namely continue to depose, keep the Queen deposed, the monarch. Yeah. And she's committing a crime if she doesn't revert it. and repeal all that they've done since 1973.
Yeah.
And I will applaud that all day long. But actually, the backbone, ask yourself.
And so the colour of law comes under what?
McCain v. Des Moines.
Right.
Without legal right.
Look at some of the law Denning stuff and
the legal right issue, just to finalise, if we're short for time, the legal right only comes by our consent. This you will know.
Yes, of course. Yeah, exactly.
Right, well, where did they get consent for corporate governance? So they're outside the jurisdiction and they have no legal right. It's as simple as that. And
under the Theft Act 1968, they're taking everything away from us.
Section 52A, in post Section 52A, an individual can do it. I did it outside on the road here less than 10 days ago. They were digging the road up. I said, what do you think you're doing? They said, we've got a permit. I said, no, you haven't. That's been given by a corporate entity, which is not constitutional. Therefore, get off my property now. They left within 14 hours.
Section 528, yeah?
A.
Oh, 52A. A person is guilty of theft if he dishonestly appropriates property belonging to another with the intention of permanently depriving the other of it.
So who paid for it? Or we did. They're intentionally intending to deprive of us our property that we've created and paid for as taxpayers. Yeah. It is our property. It is not theirs. It's only theirs in trust. Continue reading.
Yeah, so so with to another intention of permanently depriving the other of it, and thief and steal shall be construed accordingly. It is immaterial whether the appropriation is made with a view to gain or is made for the thief's own benefits.
So once you express in writing, you're taking back that property. That's it. A single individual can do it. And I've done it.
Oof.
So you can take back your court buildings, every council house, every council offices, every police car. It doesn't matter what it is. We paid for it. Remember that. By taxation. And it's
so if someone came, you didn't have anything in place, and someone came to cut you off and they wanted to dig up the road, you could read them this act.
So what you do is get an injunction under CH11, quote the act of the 1960, section 52A, that is our property. If you encroach on it, you're committing criminal trespass. I will have you removed. And I'll take whatever you've come, any machine, any vehicle, whatever. It will be clamped and sold at auction as part, and then you put a fee schedule on it. Say 100 grand, that'd be nice.
Why haven't you started setting up these communities? You
see, I do it on my own. I just go face them.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm in no fear. What can they do to me? Nothing. Not because my knowledge is that extensive. It's not a problem as such. I really feel for the ordinary person.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It breaks my heart, and I wish I could take this brain out of mine and wire it in a computer, because Google won't allow this on their site. Yeah, but all right then, go on, love. Well, can you give me 2 minutes, Rachel?
Yeah, you bring it out.
Okay. Whichever. I'll tell you in a minute, love. I'll ring you back in about 5. All right, love. Her mother's got tooth. She's had a bad tooth, so we've got Bobby for at night. Anyways, so when we understand what we own, who owns what laws now, superior laws, are available, that's already our property. Yet Boris Johnson is claiming this coronavirus rubbish. Why? Why is he jabbing? Because he is liable. I don't care what he said on the telly.
Yes, of course.
Every big farmer that's ever stuck a jab in anybody are liable. Yeah. Yep. And I will beat them in any court. Yeah, that's it. But what you've got to understand is what is available. The chronology is crucial. absolutely crucial, going back to 1688, especially with treason. Now, Blair tried to repeal that. Now, you tell me, it says that Blair repealed the Treason Act 1795. Now, he's the party that's actually committing the crime.
Yep. Where does it?
Let's let a jury decide that. That's RV1.
Blair repealed the Treason Act. Did Blair repeal the Treason Act?
1895.
So, but he couldn't. When was the treason?
Exactly, because he was in criminality. And once he broke the law, all orders and statutes and acts are void.
And the Treason Act, what year is the Treason Act? 1795. And they say Section 4 of the Act was repealed on the 15th of June 1945.
That's the corporal punishment bit, but they can't do that, even then.
Oh, is that when they stopped with the... Ah.
Yeah. If you look on the government website, it says 1995.
Ah.
Yeah? That's the entire act. The way he repealed it is the final punishment in it is death.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
So the very part that's liable to be strung up decides to repeal it. Are we having a word with ourselves here?
Absolutely. They absolutely covered every part of their arses.
Well, no, but they didn't. Because they didn't know I existed then. I'm not being big-headed. I rely on Lord Denning, one of the highest judges in this country, that any act or statute or order is void once the law has been broken.
Yep.
You just read it.
Right. We could. So then the other book you mentioned is the Archbold Criminal Procedure.
No, Criminal Pleading, Evidence and Practice.
Pleading, Evidence and Practice.
If you get hold of one of them, it's absolutely fantastic book, but that's for another FB to explain how to read that book.
Well, we'll have to. Oh, yeah, please. I mean, this is all new to me. You haven't got a hub. I think people are asking about your hub. Ian hasn't got a hub. He's asking people to set commissions of the people up.
Yes.
So this is what needs to is a good idea to have.
Property.
Yep, to take right. Justice of the Peace Act, Colour of Law. Promise you know
that you can put an injunction on corporate police from travelling on your roads. What would you say to me?
If I could,
what would you say to me if I said you can get an injunction against your chief constable from travelling on, and you can even put a toll on him?
Show me the way.
I mean it. I absolutely mean it. The laws are there for you to do that.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Right.
Show me.
So, if you want to conclude, that's fine.
No, I mean, I could carry on talking, but I think it is getting a bit late now. But maybe we can do another talk and sort of make it more specific.
Because you're the host, shall we say, you get whatever question is sent to you, I will answer.
I'm having people asking me if they can know your name, if they're able to follow you.
On Facebook, it's Ian Stewart.
Okay, and yeah, and please don't bombard him.
Don't bombard me if you want.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a lot of people going, help. But no, yes. Ian, I think we need to have a chat, and we need to,
if I can't help somebody, then I am not the man I think I am.
Yeah. No,
and
well.
I deserve to see that window. Well, I've got a window here. I deserve a headbutt it until I knock some sense into myself. Because there are people out there now in such despair, contemplating suicides and all that, because of that rat in London.
Absolutely.
And I just can't accept that. And I won't accept it.
No. I mean, we've got people that are going to be choosing between, food or warmth this winter.
Which will go back to the CH11, or you can do it via Treasury, pay it in a promissory note. Take your pick. Yeah. And then when you take away their power, if they think they've got, which they never had, because it's all about manipulation and control by stealth over 50 years.
It is, absolutely. You know, to be fair, what they've done, we can't stop what's coming. I don't think someone said you can't stop what's coming. You just have to find the right tools to fight it, to fight back. And there are people that sit there, they will argue about common law, they'll argue about inalienable rights, this, that, and the other. But
superior statutes are common law.
Right. And so
every man, woman, and child.
And I believe I believe in that, but I believe we've probably been using the wrong things. Because let's face it, there's a lot of infiltration in these movements, and if they know that we're heading in the right direction, they're going to put a distraction in there. So,
exactly. Bloody hellfire, what's going on here? I've just had 3 friends requests already. Hello, John.
You're going to get a lot more.
But, I can see, I can't live forever. I recognise my own mortality. And it's guys like you that have the tech savvy, to be able to get a Windows 10 and all that we've just spoken about can be converted into paper form.
Yeah.
Where people, and I would do it this, I don't even want a penny. I've never asked for a penny. I won't take a penny. But if it helps people, then I'll go, I'm a Buddhist, in truth. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm only 66, so I have another 504 years to live in the Buddhist world.
Yeah.
And as long as you've got what you need, food, water, warmth, clothes, and really that's what most people ask for, and a little bit of luxury in there.
That is exactly what they're trying to take away from us. And I think also they've manipulated people into believing that you need this. You need to own 10 homes. You need to own 10 cars. You need to own a boat. You need to...
Exactly. Commercial.
Yeah, and so people have become so greedy, and because of that, they got themselves in so much debt, and the debt is a new war, the silent war.
No debt.
But people believe.
But I won't go into that at this point. But I've got about 1 million. I'm just looking in my bottom right-hand corner, and I've got 1 million Facebook.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna get... Guys, please share this live. If you've enjoyed it, please share it. Let's spread the word. Let's make people aware. You mentioned...
A spade's a spade. I've no reason to lie, and I don't lie. What I will say is this. Every one of you tonight need to go to sleep and have just take a little moment to wonder how your neighbour's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's that child had a meal in a little tummy or his tummy.
All right. That is a very good question. Right. First of all, Debbie and anyone else asking, this gentleman's name is Ian. On Facebook, it's Ian Stewart, right?
And it's got a train as me. I'm a stonemason, or was.
Second thing is someone saying, a great guy, but all this doesn't change the fact that soldiers posing as refugees are being housed in hotels by the thousands.
Well, this is where you need to talk to Gary Blacklock, because what you think is not.
Oh, okay. What do you think? Right. What's his name? Gary
Blacklock.
Right. So you don't believe that they are UN soldiers?
I'll let Gary answer that. He is the expert in that field. I try to avoid what I'm not expert in.
Right.
But Gary is so proficient to answer these questions. Yeah, I'm not trying to avoid it, but I could say something that could be wrong. And I'll tell you that.
So that's, it's best to not answer something if you don't know something about it. And that's
I have to take responsibility for every word I've said. And I will continue to do that. But the expert in that question is Gary Blacklock.
Right. Wonderful. I've just sent him a friend's request. I'll have a chat with him because obviously we want to try and, get as much as the truth out as possible.
As long as we come away from the divisions that have been set up to divide us and get back unity on the most basic of levels, like feeding one another. I mean, when I was a kid, we shared dripping in bed.
Yeah.
We were happy. You know what I mean? I was scruffy as they come. I'm from a family of 9. I know hardship. Yeah. But I was happy. And my dad was a coil man. My mother she looked after 9 kids. But I learned certain morals from that. You look after those, that are as fortunate as your good self. And it costs nothing just to say hello, just to lift somebody, just to make their day better, to let them know that they exist. And, you know, that for me, I've got hairs are pricking up back of my neck now thinking about it. But that's how I conduct my life.
I believe we need to go back to some sort of, you know, way of living like that, because if we don't, you know, we're completely losing our humanity. What makes us human is
exactly. I'm in touch with farmers for the food source. Yeah. Hello, Kim, if you're listening. You know, these guys, they need help too.
Yes. Yeah, well, this is what we're doing, actually. We are going straight to farming to try and go back to supporting the farmers. And, in fact, I'm even going back to using raw milk. For anyone that drinks milk, you know, this is, if you drink, I don't need a lesson in milk.
What I'm saying is that I'm noticing over these last 5-6 years, we've had the despair, we've had the upset. Now it's time to bring it together now. Don't forget about it. They'll be accountable one day. Because all they've got is useless bits of paper that they've robbed the gold. Yeah. They've robbed all the things that we can support ourselves with, because what I just tell everyone is how to take it back.
Right.
Theft Act 1968, Section 528. Express it. Put it in your injunctions. They can't cut your gas off.
Right, exactly. So if anyone's struggling to find Ian Stewart, it's Ian Stewart, Stuart.
Correct.
Twice, in brackets, Ian Pedley.
Correct.
Just because there's some people can, what I'll do is when this live finishes, I will put his Facebook link, name link on the top. I'll tag him and then you can just click on the link and voila. So.
But anyways, Laura, been great chatting. And for everybody out there.
Pleasure. Thank you for all your knowledge. You've been absolutely amazing. And I'm going to digest all of this information, and hopefully the people who have taken part, and please share the live and give feedback. And also we'll come back and hopefully do another live and maybe sort of be more specialised in what section we want.
What we've been talking about applies across the Commonwealth.
Does it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Australia, Canada, you know, wherever it is. Yeah. And that's it. Because they're all subject, to similar. Now, I've got to tell you a little quick thing. I've more right to the presidency of America.
You've more right?
Yeah.
Because you're... Why is that?
Because my descendant, right, you've heard of Mayflower, haven't you?
Yes.
They went to America 1625. That was my great descendant. Sir William Brewster. Yeah. And they set off from Flaxton in York because there were one of his relatives or one of my relatives that tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. Yeah, Guy Fawkes. They were actually in that crew. So I do have an history.
I do like that guy. I think he had the right idea.
Yeah, well, this is it, you see. I don't know whether it's the genes I've copped on for, I don't know, but hey-ho.
You're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. And I'll tell you one thing. In your talk tonight, you've shared some amazing... I know there's people here that will moan. We had ladies saying everything you're saying is going to lead people into prison. No, it's not. We need to stop living here. The only reason you think that way is because you want to be controlled. We are looking at ways to take down.
I'm free of it.
You know,
I am free of it. And I've proof of it. When police come to the door and they go jogging on, I've got bailiffs up the road and threaten to take their cars. Yeah, because I know my stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does take a high degree of backbone.
Well, you see, you know your stuff because you've done this for 24 years. So now the fact of you just sharing this information and wanting to get it out there, I think this is where we can all help each other. We will help each other. And, you know, it's like there's something, you should share a book. You know, a book shouldn't be just for you. It should be for everyone. And you should share your...
But I need this Windows 10, which I'm not a tech head.
No. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Wakefield, West Yorkshire.
So
I was born in a village called Idle, and I'm not. But that was rough and tumble. Yeah.
We will find a way. I can help you. You know, I can be your typist. I really don't mind. We can get it all done if you can't get the Windows 10. Not a problem. Where there's a will, there's a way, isn't there?
Well, Rishi Sunak will have hold of this now, so will Liz Truss. Yeah, and they're on fair warning, aren't they? Yeah.
Excellent.
Keir Starmer, fair warning. I mean, he defended Jimmy Savile. Now you know why Jimmy Savile.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
The corruption. Anyway, yeah, but great. Thank you, guys. I hope you find it informative, but
absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for your time this evening, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Okay. I'll go for my granddaughter now.
Yeah. Oh, she's lovely. Yes, go and see for her. Speak to you soon. I'll message you soon.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. Bye
and
for now.
And you. Good night now.